Today's lesson is to teach you a bag of tricks on how to simplify trig identities. And some of them, the way you get to know them is by just doing lots and lots and lots of practice. All right? So these are some of the common things of simplifying a fraction. Remember, you're always going to pick one side or the other. Either you're going to simplify this side or you're going to simplify that side, but you never work both. All right? So I'm going to take this side of my function. The directions say we're going to split it into fractions. Well, I'm also going to rearrange. So I'm going to have 1 minus sine squared of x, and put that over cosine. And then I have sine of x over cosine, because now I have common denominators. Added them together. Why did I put 1 minus sine squared together? Because I know it's a Pythagorean identity, and it's equal to the cosine squared. All right, and part of the way, how did I know I wanted to split these into fractions? Because I look at my answer. They gave me the answer. I want to have a tangent. I know sine over cosine's tangent. So hopefully I'm working in the right direction. Right? Now, I can cross out one of those in this one. Remember, you don't scribble it out so nobody else can read it. You just cross out gently. And now you're left with cosine. And this, the sine over cosine, is tangent, and you're done. That matches what I was supposed to prove, and I can quit. Okay? Next one. They want you to factor. I'm end up with the cosine squared, sine squared, so hopefully I can factor this. You recognize that that's an a squared minus b squared. So I have cosine squared x minus sine squared x times the cosine squared x plus the sine squared x. It's a difference of squares. Well, I know cosine squared plus sine squared is 1, and this is cosine squared x minus sine squared x. And that's what I was trying to prove. Done. Okay, common denominators. I'm going to try and combine these two fractions. I have to have common denominators. So I'm going to take this one and multiply by the other denominator, which is 1 plus cosine. And then I'm going to take this fraction and multiply it by sine. Okay, so this becomes 1 plus 2 cosine x plus cosine squared x plus sine squared x all over the sine of x times 1 plus the cosine of x. You notice I didn't distribute those. All right, now if you look at the top, if you look at the top, cosine squared plus sine squared is equal to 1. So this becomes 2 plus 2 cosine x over sine x times 1 plus the cosine x. Factor out the 2, and you get 1 plus the cosine x over sine x, 1 plus the cosine of x. These guys cross out, and you end up with 2 over sine of x, which is equal to 2 cosecant x, which is what this is. Done good. Okay? All right, multiply by the conjugate. I'm going to multiply this by 1 plus the sine of x. How do I know to multiply by the conjugate? Usually it's the last choice. I couldn't split that up. I could turn this into sines and cosines, I guess. But this is my choice, all right? So when you multiply by the conjugate, I end up with the cosine of x times 1 plus the sine of x. The bottom becomes 1 minus sine squared of x. 1 minus sine squared is a Pythagorean identity. So this becomes cosine squared x. I can now cross this out in one of those. And I'm left with 1 plus the sine of x over cosine of x, which I'm going to split up into 1 over the cosine, plus sine over cosine, which is equal to the secant plus the tangent. And I'm done. All right? Is that the only way to do it? No. I could have switched this right off the bat. 1 over the cosine plus sine over cosine. Except then I'd end up with 1 plus the sine of x over the cosine of x, and I still have a mess. So I'd probably still multiply by the conjugate. So let's take that out of there so we don't get confused when you come back and look at your notes. All right? All right. Substitute, then factor. This I know is a Pythagorean identity. So I'm going to replace it with the cosecant 1 minus the cosecant squared over 1 plus the cosecant squared of x. That's the difference of squares, so you get 1 minus the cosecant, 1 plus the cosecant, over 1 plus the cosecant. These guys cross out. Now I have 1 minus the cosecant of x. You're like, well, that's not what I wanted over there. Well, I can rewrite this as, this is 1 over the sine, and I can write 1 as sine of x over sine of x. So I split it into 2, and you get sine of x minus 1 over the sine of x. I did something wrong. This should have been the other way around. This should have been minus 1. So this is cosecant x minus 1, cosecant plus 1. So these are backwards. Let's just get rid of all that. Cut. Found my mistake. So now I have the cosecant of x minus 1, which is 1 over the sine of x, minus sine of x over sine of x. Oh, sorry.
Good afternoon, CHS. I'm Lindsay McGee, and I'm your Red Jacket Ambassador.
It was just 1 minus the sine of x over sine of x.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
All right. On to the Pythagorean identity.
Students, you can view all daily announcements on the homepage of the CHS website. Please check daily. Have a great day, CHS.
Did it make you miss school? I hope so. All right, Pythagorean identity. I can replace this with the cosecant squared. No, with the, tangent squared. Tan squared over the secant squared x, which is the sine squared over the cosine squared over 1 over the cosine squared. You multiply by reciprocals. And these guys cross out, and you get sine squared, and you're done. I hope that helps.